Hi, I'm Essie.
And I'm Elle.
Welcome back to Magic and Mayhem.
Okay, so ice fishing with dynamite game, which is our ranking game for the books we've read. So, in the first category is Ocean Away, then Across the Pond, Dazed, and Exploded. So, explode. Wah, wah, wah. Or wouldn't it be dun dun dun?
Yeah. Well, usually it's wah 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 because it's already happened.
True, true.
They're already exploded.
But exploded fish/books are ones that we must unhaul digitally or physically. Dazed means the books that we own that are on this list are put into our endangered category.
That's a dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. And then, as one might assume, the other two categories are safe.
Yay!
And this month, I've read 30 books.
And I apparently am mentally unwell because I read 37.
You were an overachiever.
I think just mentally unwell. But so, as far as books that sadly have exploded, and we'll have the chart up with all of them that exploded, but we're only going to mention the ones that we do have to actually unhaul.
For me, I did not, in fact, have any in the exploded line that I currently own. Therefore,
Jerk.
I do not have any exploded.
Jerk. Okay, fine. I do. So I have As the Light Goes Out. Which I'm sad because I really like the author, but this one just didn't work for me personally. But I think other people really like it. There's just a little too much spice for my personal taste, and not enough plot. So
Plot, what plot?
who needs plot? Ugh, In the Lives of Puppets. Listen, I tried to read this for the full 2 months of our TBRs, and I never made it. I couldn't make myself read it. I don't know why. It's not bad. I think this is a me problem. But I do own it, so I have to unhaul it. Fuzzy Nation by John Scalzi. Listen, I also love John Scalzi. But I got halfway and I was like, I'm just not having a good time. Everyone marked it as funny in Storygraph. I don't really think it's funny. So I was expecting it to be like his, comedic science fiction because he does have like more serious science fiction and than more like humorous science fiction.
Well, the name kind of sounds like
Yeah,
it
the
should
name
be
sounds
funny.
like it's gonna be funny, but it's based on someone else's story, and I wonder if that's maybe why I don't like it. And he fully credits the story, like it's like a short story or something. Like to me, it wasn't funny. I don't really know. I mean, the main character is sarcastic, but to me, that doesn't necessarily make a funny story. That just means the character is kind of funny, but I don't know, not enough for me to mark it funny.
Yeah, there is a difference between like comedic relief and something being really truly
Truly fun.
classified as funny or comedic.
Yeah. So, and I don't think it was that, but Ascendance of a Bookworm. This just I don't know. I read this because Gavin told me to, and I love Gavin, and I hope he never ever listens to this episode. I did not really like this. The main character was just kind of bratty and self-centered and spoiled, and I just didn't really like it. Username Evie, I just DNF'd due to triggers, and you make it easy. Just didn't care. I didn't think that the one of the characters should take back the other character, especially as easily as they did, based on the absolutely terrible thing that that character did. I don't think that character was redeemable, and like he didn't even have to do anything. And the other character's like, "But I love him too much." I'm like, "It's been 10 years. You don't even know him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys were like 17. You don't even know him now."
Yeah, no.
Anyway, I DNF'd it at like 80%. I never knew that, but I did.
And Dazed, I own two of these books. The rest I got from the library. I own Zenith and A Study in Drowning.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
A Study in Drowning, it's in danger, but the thing is I need to read it again because I zoned out through half of it. I was reading, you know how you do, you're reading it, but you're not really listening. And I got to like the halfway point of doing that, not like really absorbing a single solitary thing. And then I got halfway through and something did catch my attention, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And but I was too stubborn to go back. And so I just stayed lost,
Confused.
and confused, and thusly I still continued to zone out because I didn't know what was happening. I occasionally tuned in while reading for something in particular that caught my eye, but I just I just need to read it again because I have absolutely no idea what happened in this book.
That sounds like a you problem, yeah.
It was definitely a me problem. Zenith was not necessarily a me problem. It was, I mean, it is a me problem. But it's a me problem in that
You don't like it?
I didn't. I should have liked it because it had elements like, you know, girl boss, girl family, but it was too dramatic. Certain lovey-dovey aspects and the classic supposedly they're enemies, but are they?
No.
But they're not. They're not enemies, and it was too. I just don't like romance enough for this. So that is it.
So, because for my days, I have 12 blind dates. That's the problem with most of mine. They were just fine. That's why they're in days. Shakes and kisses, again, just fine. I guess or no, was fine. Keep it down. That one was kind of annoying. So that's why it's in the days. Because just one of the characters was like really immature and really self-centered, and then I don't know, just the dynamic just wasn't really believable between them and the neighbor. And the neighbor,
Oh, I remember.
yeah, it just wasn't really believable
You
at all.
told me about that, yeah.
Because then like the neighbor then has like a complete like 180 personality change, and then the other one also has like a personality. I don't know. Anyway, it's just kind of weird. Waiting for the flood. Now listen. I realize I say that every time. I'm gonna continue doing it.
Take a shot every time.
Yes, that's my phrase of the episode. Take a shot when you say it every time I say that. So Waiting for the Flood is a combination of several stories in one. So there's like one story at the beginning, a story in the middle, and then like a story at the end. And the story at the end is very short. It's only like 20 pages. The first story I adored, loved it, wonderful. The little bit at the end, really enjoyed, wonderful. The story in the middle, the main character is so freaking unlikable and just an asshole for no reason, and he knows he's an asshole, and he's just like horrible to everyone around him. He's horrible like to his best friend. He's horrible to the guy he's with. He's horrible to his ex while they were together and afterwards, even though they were kind of it's like a kind of a friendly breakup eventually. But still horrible to me. Like his ex goes out of his way to help him so many times. Still horrible to him. I'm like, what? I hate this character. He can drown. I don't.
It's about a flood, so
That's
he
what I'm
could
saying.
drown.
He could drown. I don't care. I hated him. I hated that part of the book. That's why it's here. But I really love the first part and the end. So it's not like I hated the book overall. It's just that middle part. If I could rip out the middle, and I'd be happy. Am I the asshole? This wasn't bad. This was actually better than I was expecting. Because I just thought it was smut. It's not, but it just is not. I mean, I liked it fine. Am I ever gonna read it? Probably not. They were roommates. This is the one that I loved the first half, and it should have stopped at like 60% because it was just way too freaking long with a whole bunch of crap that happened that didn't need to be there. But the first half is great. But like there's no. And then Creepy Cat, which is a graphic novel, and I love weird, but it wasn't my kind of weird. It didn't really make sense all the time. It wasn't like, and in some parts it's like a continuous story, and other parts it's like not. It was fine. That's all the days ones that I actually own. Okay, so, and obviously all of our reads will be up on the screen now, so you can see everything that we have read. But we're only going to talk about the top 10. So, number 5, Dragon Breath, Volume 1. I don't believe this one has a title other than just its volume 1. I think it's just called Dragon Breath. I don't know. This was an absolute delight. So,
I like how you keep singing it.
I feel like singing. Y'all, I'm not sorry. But this obviously follows a dragon. And who has a best friend who is an iguana, I'm pretty sure. And so the dragon thinks writing a report about the ocean and gets an F because it's obvious that they did not do any research at all and just made it up. So they do get a chance to rewrite it. To do that, they decide that they need to go visit the ocean because they have a cousin or something that's a sea serpent.
Oh,
Love the cousin, love the sea serpent. I don't remember if it's cousin or not. It's some kind of relation, but
is
love
that Ed or something like that?
yeah.
Anyway,
but I love the sea serpent. Amazing, wonderful character. And so they go, and he makes his best friend go, even though his best friend is like the quintessential like nerdy, scared of everything, like that is in everything ever.
Yes.
But they go, and they also have like meet like a giant squid, and there's like a shipwreck, and it's very fun. And it acknowledges the fact that it doesn't make sense because they can get on the bus and get anywhere in like 20 minutes. Like it's like a magical bus, and they acknowledge that it doesn't make sense, and I love that. It is actually very self-aware pretty much all the time, but it was very fun.
My next one is Confessions.
Woo!
I sang it too, so there.
Yay! The singing episode. I'm gonna tag it that.
The musical episode. Oh dear. Anyway,
I better not people get mad.
Confessions was, oh my goodness, this, like, all these people are crazy. Every single one of these people in this there is no sane person to be found. Not one. No one is sane. Everybody is certifiably completely off their rocker.
That's why I thought you'd like it.
Yes. Also, it's incredibly concerning that this many children are completely batshit crazy in one single classroom. It is, in fact, worrying.
It is.
They're crazy. All the teachers are crazy. Everybody is crazy.
The parents
are crazy.
Parents are real crazy.
The parents are extra crazy. And even the ones of the parents that you're like, oh no, they're okay. They're probably they're
never
not.
mind. I think it's also one of those books that there's like a reveal. I think at like the end of every chapter.
Yeah,
you get a reveal
of something big.
Some people hate, some people love. So
yeah,
I like it. But
the thing that did bother me so much was the like first kind of person-ish viewpoint that we had running through the entire book. I do absolutely loathe this kind of viewpoint. However, it wasn't enough to make me hate the book.
Yay! I thought second person you hated.
Second person for whatever.
Anything that's not fair?
Yes.
Rude!
Oh, and the ending. I can't tell you anything.
Nope.
However, the ending.
I love the ending because I'm also unhinged, apparently.
Apparently. Like,
I loved it.
The ending just, yeah.
You're like, that's a thing that happened.
That's a thing that happened. And you don't even quite know what to expect until the last page.
Oh, yeah.
Because the ending is going right up until the, like, last few seconds. And you're like, oh.
You're like, oh.
The ending is very a lot.
Although, maybe make sure you're in, like, a good mental health space before you read it. Otherwise, and look up triggers, please.
Yeah.
Because,
there's a lot of death and child murder and
crazy
and insane. Yeah, there's a lot. So I enjoyed it, but yeah, probably be careful. But it's fantastic.
Yes.
And unhinged.
Yep. Number 4, Marvelous Life by Freya Marsky.
Sure.
I was worried about this one because this is historical, and lately, me and historical, we're not getting along.
We're enemies.
Yeah, we're enemies. We're not friends. We're not even acquaintances. We're
not enemies to lovers.
Just straight up enemies. And I was worried about this one. But it came up on the 24 in 2024, so I had to read it. This one follows a guy who, by an administrative error, gets put into this office that he does not have any idea what it is or what to do. And so he's like the non-magical liaison between non-magical people, non-magicians and magicians. And there's someone that's a magician on the magician side that talks to him, so that's like they have to work together. And suffice to say, the magician's not thrilled with this development of this person who actually didn't even know that like magic existed, or that there even were magicians, because it's not like common knowledge. So he wasn't happy. But it turns out that the guy that was in the office before was murdered. So they have to figure out what happened and why and all that. And it's not enemies to lovers, because like they're not enemies, they just don't like each other. So whatever that is.
Dislike to dislike.
Dislike to lovers.
And add in Moida.
Moida! So I had a fantastic time. I absolutely loved it. It did stress me a bit, because there's some like high intensity scenes sometimes where it's not the kind of intensity where it's like really gore. It's just like really tense, because you know something bad is going to happen, but you don't know what it is, and you don't know how bad it's going to be.
It's looming.
Yes, it's like very foreboding. That kind of tense. So it's not like everyone's being dismembered, although they could be. You don't know. That's a thing that could happen.
Or boat jump.
I will say I definitely did wish more harm on people that did not have enough harm come to them, in my opinion. I felt like more harm needed to come to them. There were some characters I absolutely loved, and I thought all of them should pay. They did not in the first one, but it's a trilogy, and I'm holding out hope for the other two. But I also say, if you like it to like wrap up at the end of the book, this one does not do that. It gets to like a stopping point, but by no means is it wrapped up. But the second and third books are from different points of view. But I loved it. My anxiety, not so much. But I loved it.
So my fourth book is Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby. Why can't I speak? Gabby Rivera. This book has a lot in it. This book has like baby queers and coming out to your family and coming out to other people and finding yourself and your identity, and coming from a background, the main character is, that did not support any of these things, and so she's kind of just thrown in and is finding out as she goes. And as one might expect, with coming from a family who was not even supportive of such things, you do see a lot of saddening moments where the character is not being accepted, and it is causing them emotional damage, as you would assume. I found myself incredibly upset during some of these times, because there are great characters in this, don't get me wrong, who are really great for the main character. Obviously, that's Juliet. However, there are others. There are a lot of others. It's upsetting to watch. Well, read, whatever. It's upsetting because the main character, you feel like they deserve so much better, because they do. They deserve better than these people. So you just go through this, and it's disappointing every time that the main character gets let down when, she's young. I think anyone, even if you're not queer in any way, you can identify with all these figures who are supposed to be supportive and help you, and them royally letting you down.
Yeah.
And so I think anyone can relate to this book. And so, therefore, it was a fantastic book, and it's about being disillusioned and about learning to get over that. It's learning that people aren't going to give you what you need, and you got to kind of learn to dismiss them and let them go, and just get, find your crew, your real ride or die. Find them. Disregard other people.
Okay, number 3. 24 Days of Christmas by Lee Blair. So I picked this up because I love a lot of the things I've read from Lee Blair. Yes, I'm aware this is a Christmas book, and yes, I'm aware it's August. I don't care. I just wanted to read it. This was freaking adorable. So it's kind of part of a series where it's in a small town. It's still in the small town, but it's not really part of the series. It's like a companion. It's about this guy who has a month off in between jobs. We still stay in the same company, but he's moving to a different job in the company, and it's moving to a different city because of that. And so they have given him off a month paid time off in between. And it's like this really intense, really stressful, like marketing job or whatever. And so his aunt, who he is close to, is going to be gone for the holidays. And so she's like, hey, can you watch my dogs? Even though he's not a dog person. He's like, fine. Because she's basically like, you have nothing better to do. So I love his aunt. As a side note, his aunt's amazing. And so he goes and finds out actually that his aunt has a tenant in the back. She has like a little shed lodge thing in the back of her house and has a tenant there who is apparently very cute. And so, but the main character is straight, supposedly. Well, then he finds out his aunt set up this calendar he made when he was like a child. Instead of doing the 24 days of Christmas, he did the 24 dares of Christmas.
Oh.
And she filled it with 24 dares to make him do while she was gone, including things like doing the marketing for the city to try and win a grant. Or try and win a contest so they could get a grant for the city park. And she just kind of voluntold him. And so it's very funny. It's hilarious. I really like. I mean, the romance is super cute and it's very sweet, but I actually really like the way that the tenant's family kind of just completely like takes in the main character as like their own child because he's always felt left out of his family. He was the youngest by 10 years. He was a surprise. They're both kind of main characters are kind of going through a bit of a job crisis. Tried to do with their dream job and then it didn't go well, and so they think they're a failure and can never do it again. And then the other one is like the job that they were going to do in the new city. Turns out the job's not what they were told it was going to be. And he's like, but I don't want that. I really like what I'm doing for the city. And the thing I loved about it is, unlike some other stories where like the characters like put things off for like 6 months for no reason, but before they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't want to do this anymore. The character that was going to take the job in the new city, the minute that he gets another offer from like a nearby city to continue doing the work that he loves, he jumps on it immediately and just quits his other job that he hated. I'm like, thank you, someone who has common sense. If you, I mean, I understand not doing it before you have a job. I understand continuing to be like, well, this is I have a job. I need to work to be able to live. But as soon as he had another offer that he liked better, he's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna do that instead. I really enjoyed it. It was very cute. Also, the author is wonderful. I talked to them a little bit, like on Instagram and stuff, and they're very sweet.
Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation, number 1. Like, it's the first one, but I highly enjoyed it. And this one was the manhwa. So the art off the charts, fantastic.
So beautiful.
Super good. It's funny and cute, and there's death, and that's always a top tier qualifier for me.
It really is.
There's obviously lots that's gonna happen. There's already in the first one, lots has happened. And it looks like it is going to be a fantastic time. I bought already, got the second one. I just enjoyed it. And I can't tell you anything really.
Number 2, Dearest Milton James by N.R. Walker. Yes, I told you I'm going through their catalog. This one, I mean, the romance in this was very cute, and I enjoyed it a lot. But my favorite part was number 1, the little family of misfits. They are so hilarious and wonderful together, and I love them. and also these freaking letters. Because the whole premise is this, which, and I thought I wasn't gonna like it because the like the first page or two, you think that the main character is like this spoiled, bratty rich kid. Turns out he's not. He just so he gets in trouble for standing up to for people who can't really stand up for themselves. For instance, he gets fired from a job. His dad like owns the post office, by the way, in like Australia, and he gets fired from his job as an office worker because one of the women in the office got in trouble for wearing a skirt that was too short, even though it was long enough. It was just she was tall, and so she got in trouble for it. So he went to work the next day in a miniskirt because there was no rules that guys couldn't wear skirts. So he went in a miniskirt that barely covered anything to protest basically this woman getting in trouble for wearing a skirt that should have been fine. And so yeah, he got fired. But his his dad owns the post office, so he's like, fine, I'm tired of dealing with you. And like this has happened like every time he's gotten fired, it's been for something like that. And so his dad's like, I don't know what to do with you. You're going to this part of the post office where all the lost mail and stuff goes. Because he thinks he's like irresponsible, even though his dad's rich and he doesn't depend on his dad at all. Like he like has his own place and buys all of his own stuff, and it's very much like I do not want to depend on my father. But so he ends up going to this mail place, and they have these letters that are like from like 1970 that no one can bear to get rid of, even they should have been destroyed a long time ago because they're a whole bunch of love letters, and they're so sweet. The letters are actually in the book, and they're so freaking sweet. And like the main character's like, I have to find the person who sent these letters. Like I have to, and it becomes a whole thing, and it's very cute and very sweet. And I cannot say anything that happens. I just really enjoyed it, and the whole group at the because it is basically a bunch of misfits at the office, and they're all very different, and they're very weird, and they're wonderful. The romance was very cute too, like it was.
All right, so my number two is by Lev Grossman, The Bright Sword. This one is a Arthurian legend retelling, but also not, because it's after Arthur and everything that happens like theoretically after Arthur's death. This one is definitely a lot of the topics are kind of heavy. There's a lot of talk of disillusionment, depression. There's the main character, and there's also POVs of lots of these other characters, and they're all underdogs because they're the survivors and they have the survivors guilt, and also the grand time of, well, now what?
It's true, yeah.
And everybody is dead. And they're trying to pick up the pieces and fix things, and they're trying to go about it the old ways, but really the old ways was Arthur, and Arthur's dead. And you get the main character who arrived just a tiny bit too late. And so he thought he would get to be at the round table, and well, Arthur's dead and the round table doesn't exist.
So
And so he's like, wait a minute, now what?
very much luck.
And so everyone is in this kind of limbo state of what on earth do we do? And it goes through all of their processing of all these like situations and the survivors guild and the feeling like since they survived, they're also the bottom of the barrel.
Oh.
Because, all the great ones are dead. And Arthur's dead, and they have no cause. They have no country. They have, this whole thing, and it's a reimagining of some characters, including, for example, Merlin, who's seen through a completely other lens as to what we have typically pictured as the kindly old wizard. And in fact, in the old stories, you can kind of see, and I love that Lev Grossman brought out all these aspects that well, maybe these people weren't so great after all.
Mm.
And you can honestly, in the way that it's written, it's so well done, because even if you've read every single Merlin slash Arthur thing out there, you can absolutely see how these characters, all of them, could have been, in fact, different than these legends tell, and or the same still, but if you put them in a setting where Arthur is dead,
Mm.
well, how would that change things?
That would change things.
And so it's all these characters and their journeys, and whoever's left trying to figure out how to go forward and how the new world is going to go. So there are tons of moments in this that, as a matter of fact, I had to like stop reading because I needed to either, it was too deep in some cases. I needed to go get my tabs or a bookmark or something, and needed a second to process some of this. So, fantastic.
Okay, and number one. I always want to do drum roll, but I'm not. I'm not gonna do it. Oh, there you go. Beautiful. It's a reread. Yay!
Woo!
So I reread Upside Down by Anna Walker. So I'm not gonna say a lot about it because if you've been listening to any of our episodes, I feel like I've mentioned it in many of them. But I do love Upside Down. That's why it still gets number one. It is about a librarian who has a lot of labels already. Doesn't want another label, but suspects that he might be Ace, and goes to an Ace support group to see if maybe that might be the case. So, and I relate to the main character a lot, which is why I like him, because I am also awkward and clumsy and say the wrong thing a lot, and also Ace. So there you go. But um, it's a lot of fun. Although if you don't like cussing, do not read it. The main character says the F word so frequently, and knows he's doing it and is trying to actively not do it, but is really bad at not doing it. He's trying to break himself out of the habit.
And it's going badly. I think
it goes badly for a lot of the book. But he's very sweet, very lovable, and very neurodivergent. I would say I don't know if it ever says what neurodivergence, but very neurodivergent. But still a very sweet human, and just awkward as heck. And I was like, relatable. So I really enjoyed the book. All that it talks about with asexuality. It does mention aromantic, but it's not really gone into in detail. So I do want to say that. But and one of my prompts was I had to reread a favorite. So there we go.
So listen. I had to.
Everyone take a shot.
Exactly. But mine was also, in fact, a reread. I have read The Magicians before. This is also a Lev Grossman book. And the thing with these books is, with any Lev Grossman book, I feel like you really got to read it twice, at least, because he's so brilliantly in all his books, and I'm definitely rereading Bright Sword as well, because he has all these things hidden throughout the story that until you know, well, until you know, you don't know. But then after you know, you're like, wait a minute.
You're like, there were breadcrumbs.
Yes. Like you told me how this would end way back in like the very beginning, and there's all these Easter eggs. Like that's one of the things that this author does fantastically is like really you've known the entire time and you didn't know you knew, but you've known. And there's all these fantastic little hidden tidbits throughout the stories. And so I have read this before, but it was no less great the second or third or whatever time, as is to be expected with my top tier books.
Mm-hmm.
It's about depression. It's
That
about
always is.
trauma. It's like again, same with Brightside. Depression, trauma, all this bad stuff. It's got magic. It's got fighting. It's got battles. It's got disillusionment.
She likes to be sad.
Apparently, but it's got just all this stuff going on throughout the whole entire book, and you for the main character as well as other characters. But the main character and also all the characters surrounding them, the side characters, they all have all these different traumas, and you see how each character deals with a all these bad things going on in their lives, like grief and survivor's guilt and murder of people around them, and trying to go forward through after all these things have happened, and after you have assumed that things, you know, like the main character, that one of the things that we've that makes him relatable is we've all been told all this time, like, oh, you could be happy if there was magic, for example, and you could be happy if you got invited to a magic school, and you could be happy if you found this magical land and whatever. And so this main character goes through, well, he finds magic. It doesn't fix all his problems. So weird. He gets invited to a magical school. Oh, surely this will fix everything. No. And finds magical land. Well, it's not quite all it was cracked up to be. And so, kind of, it's very relatable because it also walks you through, like, being disillusioned with an author who turns out was a horrible person. And, like, there's so many people who can identify with these times when someone, especially when you're young, an author, you've kind of attached so much onto them, and then it turns out they disappoint you vastly.
Yeah. You're like, oh, you're a terrible person. Cool. Yes. Cool.
And so it just explores all these things that are really relatable, even though it has magic, obviously. And these are not real world situations, and yet they're very, very, I don't know, poignant.
Poignant was right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I was like, is that right? I don't know.
Yes.
And
sorry, he bit me.
So, oops. I think it's also funny because some people, there's 3 books, and some people do not like the main character for the first, like, half of the series, and then suddenly they're like, oh no, I like the main character. And that has been one of my greatest enjoyments, is watching that happen with some people. I absolutely love this set of books. I have read them. I am reading more of them because, of course, I'm on book 2 with my book club, who obviously top tier book, and
clearly
obvious. I think that's fairly obvious, especially since this particular author made it to 1 and 2.
Yeah,
in
spots 1 and 2.
So, yes, although all of my books have in the top set have a very similar theme.
They do. I also have to find out both of our top 2s were the same authors.
Yeah, that's true.
Because my top 2 were the same author too.
Yes.
We like what we like, okay?
Honestly. We have a type, okay?
We do. That was our top 10. Well, I mean, top 5 for each of us. Top 10.
Yes, top 10.
Obviously, this is by no means an exhaustive list of ones we enjoyed. But we can't include all of them. It would take too dang long. We like to talk too much.
Yeah.
So these are just the top 5 from each of us, or the top 10. But we obviously loved all the ones that are in our top tier. Those are like the top favorites. And then we still really enjoyed the ones in the second tier as well. So.
And again, it is not us not necessarily going into depth on every single book, is not because They don't deserve it.
Also, though, if there's any of the books in our ranking that you want to talk to us about more or whatever, leave a comment down below. We love to talk about books. We love to talk to people about books.
But we hope you're enjoying our new game, Ice Fishing with Dynamite. Thanks for listening to Magic and Mayhem. All right, bye.